Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin is up 4.02% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,142, a high of 9,225, and a low of 8,704. That's $1 for 10,937 Satoshis. Volume is about average for a weekday with 5,625 Bitcoins changing hands. Margin longs continue to lead with 79% of the market heading that direction. A new indicator, Bitcoin dominance, is at 66%. Yesterday we talked a lot about Twitter and the Kobayashi Maru, the no-win situation. Twitter had Trump on the left. They had everyone else on the right. What could Twitter do? What did Twitter do? Well, it turns out that Twitter added a link to two of President Trump's tweets in which he had made false claims about mail-in ballots, urging people to get the facts. The Twitter link was added in the nice, polite color of blue, not the red color of warning or even green, and only was added to the mail-in ballot tweets. They did not directly address the problem of the president accusing someone falsely of murder and continuing to torment the widower. That was not addressed. So obviously this pleased no one, but it especially displeased the president, who noticed that new warning on his tweets. Trump lashes out at social media companies after Twitter labels tweets with fact checks. It says the president tweeted a claim that social media companies were limiting conservative voices. He also seemed to be talking about starting his own Twitter and pretty much just rebelling against the whole system, railing against Twitter over and over. Twitter has yet to tag any of the new tweets with their new and very effective fact check tag. So Twitter faced the no-win situation, the no-win scenario, and they lost. What were Twitter's other options? They could have removed the president entirely. That would have led to the president starting his own Twitter, which he just said he's going to do already. Okay, so that would have worked. But that would have pleased a lot of people. That would have them standing up for their terms and conditions. They could have removed the 2 or 3 tweets where the president directly accused someone of murder without evidence. That seems kind of reasonable, but again, anyone else would have their whole account removed. If you go out there right now and accuse President Trump of murder with no evidence because a secretary in his office passed out and died over the evening, no one's going to cry for your account. But yes, Twitter faced the ultimate test and pretty much failed on all sides, pleasing no one and improving their position not at all. The lawsuits will come in for the false murder tweets that Twitter is still hosting without any warnings or notifications. Back to Bitcoin. Bloomberg, Bitcoin's bounce back over 9,000, masks a potential downtrend. That's funny. Even when it goes up, it's not good enough. Technical indicators suggest the world's largest cryptocurrency, it's called fledgling cryptocurrency, is stuck in a funk. Bitcoin needs to break out of the downtrend formed in May. A healthy pullback might be needed before it can break over 10,000 again. Where have I heard that before? I'm always hearing that. Bitcoin rose 3.7% to 91.90 during trading on Wednesday, as if it closed. Peer coins, oh, somebody doesn't know their history. Peer coins, including Dash and Litecoin, also advanced. Peer coin actually used to mean something. That's a term of art. How dare you, Bloomberg, clowns. Blah, 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 Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. All right, eventually we're also going to talk about Goldman Sachs. We've got some great tweets from Tur de Meester. Unfortunately, it's on the other side of the news, so we're going to have to fight our way there. Let's see. Trump is accusing Joe Scarborough of murder. because Trump doesn't like that Scarborough criticizes him on his television show. If Scarborough were to stop criticizing him, Trump would stop accusing him of murder. It does seem like we're up against a bully in the schoolyard, and it's just pretty embarrassing. She says, why won't he stop tweeting about it? The White House press secretary dances around the question. Some beautiful dancing by the White House press secretary this morning. Shout out to Max Hillebrand. He gave a speech at the Greek Bitcoin meetup in Athens there, virtually, I think. So very cool. Shout out to Max getting out there in the virtual world. A reward portal is getting very close to adopting Bitcoin Lightning Network. You're going to be able to earn Satoshis for doing surveys and other small tasks using the Lightning Network. Very cool. Check it out at rewardportal.com. Balaji has an interesting idea here. Premises. Political spending on ads doesn't seem to help candidates much. Influencers are important in elections. Tools like Nation Builder are creating automatic campaign compliance. Hypothesis. Influencers may be able to run for office without raising much or any money. Dun, dun, dun. It almost sounds exactly like that Ukrainian TV show that I'm watching, Servant of the People, where the guy was a history teacher and he made an angry speech on YouTube, and then he was elected president. Then, in real life, the comedian/actor who played the character was elected president. That's strange. See, it looks like in Nebraska, coronavirus cases have spiked 1,390%. So ignoring the virus might not be such a good idea. Here's a more detail of the Twitter very strong fact check box there. Look at its nice, peaceful blue coloring. Nothing like a warning or a red or a green or a blinking. It's not put above the text. It's put after the text. It's just kind of it's a really weak response by Twitter. And they got a strong response back by Trump. Their weak response was typically, as he does in everything, greeted with a strong response. An overreaction, you might say? Maybe so, but certainly it is. Certainly it is one kind of reaction. Thousands are protesting the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. I'm sure you've seen the video by now. The African-American man is on the ground. The police are kneeling on his neck. He begs with them to let him breathe, even saying, sir, at one point, and the officer does not let him breathe. So we have another one of these situations, and I think we have it coming up soon. You can see the tear gas soon when they shoot it at the other protesters at the Capitol. Remember how they had all those guns down on the Capitol and nothing happened? Well, now we have a different scene. So again, these are Hong Kong and America are going to get confused here, but this is Hong Kong. These are students, school kids being arrested, and an old man being pepper sprayed. This is all completely normal in the new Hong Kong. Look at that right there. That is a very close range pepper spray. Let's go back to the browser size. Sorry there. And then you can see the students being arrested, young girls, young boys, people running for their lives, tear gas. Marks and Spencer logo in the background. That's nice. You can't pay for that kind of advertising. That's really what it's all about these days, is fear marketing. Meanwhile, in America, police are using tear gas and stun grenades to break up protests as they continue after the killing of George Floyd. You'll note that previously the all-white protesters had machine guns and other such weapons. Here, the mixed crowd of protesters does not have any weapons, and the police are firing tear gas at them. It's almost like there's a double standard where one kind of protesting is acceptable and the other kind's not. Or, horrifyingly, maybe they should go home and get their rifles and come back. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. If you murder a guy in the street, you're going to get this kind of protest. Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't know why they're firing tear gas, but this is in America right here. So not Hong Kong. Don't get confused. But There you go. Tear gas, stun grenades in the street in America. As Marcus Bell, PhD, writes, this is weird. A couple of weeks back, I saw dudes with MAGA wear carrying heavy artillery storm the State House in my hometown of Lansing. Not a single canister of tear gas was deployed. That is very weird. Hey, look at those Bitcoin prices. Looks like one of those bull flags, right? It's a flag formation and another flag and a pennant. Bitcoin prices jumped from 8,900 to 9,100 in the last 30 minutes. CoinDesk Market says it's because of geopolitical tensions and the yuan slide. There's more pictures of the children in Hong Kong being arrested, led onto the prison bus. That's it. Be nice if we did anything for Hong Kong. Hundreds of protesters have occupied Nathan Road in Mong Kok in defiance of strong police presence and the arrests of an hour or so ago. You'll see the umbrellas continuing the umbrella revolution of 2014, which we covered right here on the World Crypto Network. It's interesting to hear Nathan Road. I remember hearing of these roads years ago when we covered that protest, and James Bang needed directions from this street or that neighborhood to this one and that one as the police were at different areas. We see the much more organized press these days all wearing safety vests and the smart ones wearing helmets. Protest is peaceful now, but who knows? Photos show that Wuhan tested 6.5 million people for coronavirus in 9 days, while the United States has only tested 14 million people in 4 months. 9 days, 4 months. So as you can see from just the photo right here, they have an assembly line of tests. Everyone is being swabbed and tested. They're all being tested so that they can track down the virus and kill the virus, which is the only way to really reopen the economy until we get a vaccine. Here are more troopers in Hong Kong, a very military feeling, guns out, ready to go. So, sadly, remember the Tiananmen Square, well, at least the part with the tanks ended peacefully. After that, there were massacres. The free speech protesters were cleared out of the square. Nobody filmed that part, at least all of it, in the same way. But we could expect perhaps the same thing here, or worse, as soon it will be legal for China to do the things it wants to do. We've been talking about Denmark a lot on this show. The Denmark model was to pay the businesses. If you have a restaurant, we'll pay you. You keep paying your waiters and waitresses, the people who work at the restaurant, and when this thing is over, they come back to work at the restaurant. Well, it turns out that Denmark was the first to close, and they're the first to reopen. They shut down their schools, their borders, their restaurants in mid-March. Remember March. They shut down early, and now Denmark is reopening. So once again, if you shut down early, you get to reopen late. But if you shut down late, ... This was pretty amazing. She really danced around some stuff.
This is a husband widower sent to
oh, this is the one where she won't answer the question about the Twitter thing.
Were emotionally traumatic for him and for
do you have any feelings?
His wife's family.
I don't know if he's seen the letter, but I do know that our hearts are with Lori's family at this time.
Nice.
Why is the president making these unfounded allegations? I mean,
Come back.
This is pretty nuts, isn't it? The president's accusing somebody of possible murder. And the family is pleading with the president.
You don't find that odd?
Please stop
It's
unfounded
odd.
conspiracy theories. Why is he doing it?
Well, I would note that the president said this morning that this is not an original Trump thought, and it is not. In fact, 2003 on Don Imus's show, it was Don Imus and Joe Scarborough that joked about killing an intern, joked and laughed about it. So that was, I'm sure, pretty hurtful to
He's
Laura's
doing it
family,
because of a 2003 radio show.
Don Imus, and Joe Scarborough himself can answer it.
He's the president of the United States, and
it's
he's
2020
accusing
now.
somebody of possibly murder. I mean, this is different.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not a private citizen. He's the president.
Yeah, and Joe Scarborough, if we want to start talking about false accusations, we have quite a few we can go through about.
What
Mika
about the TV host?
Mika Brzezinski.
I'm asking about the president's allegation.
Yeah, the president.
Saying this morning, as recently, I believe it was this morning or yesterday, Mika accused the president of
the
being
TV
responsible for
host.
100,000 deaths in this country. That's incredibly irresponsible. They've dragged his family through the mud. They've made false accusations that I won't go through, that I would not say from this podium, against the president of the United States, and they should be held to account for their falsehoods. Joe Scarborough should be held to account for saying people will die by taking hydroxychloroquine. Never mind the millions of Americans and people across the world who take it for rheumatoid arthritis and other reasons. There are a litany of false headlines like Mika.
Spreading a false conspiracy theory that suggests that he's
Yeah.
responsible for murder?
I would point you back to
Yeah.
Joe Scarborough, who laughed and joked about this item on Don Imus's show.
Joe Scarborough, in 2003. I would take you 17 years ago to a radio show by a dead guy, Don Imus, and I would say that the president is really interested in classic 2003 radio. So does that mean we can go back and quote all his Howard Stern stuff? Just really strange. Obviously, she's not going to answer that question. She's afraid of it. Very, very bad performance. How much longer will she last? This one was pretty interesting here. We had a little breakdown on CNBC as the Aaron Sorkin, apparently not the writer, goes after this old guy here. Apparently the old guy had just been sticking up for President Trump this whole time against the virus. Let's check this out from CNBC.
You panicked about the market, panicked about COVID, panicked about the ventilators, panicked about the PPE, panicked about
he laid into him first.
Panicked
All
did you
right.
ever get back to normal?
Joseph, you didn't panic
What
about
good is
anything.
that? What good is it? Why
Joseph,
not help
100,000 people died.
keep their head? I understand that.
100,000 people died, Joe, and all you did was try to help your friend, the president. That's what you did. Every single morning on this show. Every single morning on this show, you abused and abused your position,
that's
Joe.
Totally unfair.
You abused and abused
I'm
your
trying
position.
to help investors keep their cool, keep their heads, and as it turned out, that's
You know
what
what,
they
Joseph?
should have done. That's what they should
the
have
news.
done. They should
Do
have
the news.
kept their heads. If they had listened to you, Andrew, we're supposed to be at about 8,000.
I wasn't arguing to go sell your stocks, Joseph. I was arguing about people's lives.
We understand
People's lives.
Andrew,
That's
it's a
the
global
argument.
pandemic.
Do the news. I'm begging you to do the news,
It's
Joseph.
a global pandemic.
I'm begging you.
Andy.
Please.
Oh, do the news, Joseph. I'm begging you. Do the news. Reminds me of a great line from Glengarry Glen Ross, where Kevin Spacey's character is just wanting him to leave, and he's like, go to lunch. Go to lunch. Why don't you go to lunch? But yes, that was a classic little breakdown there, a little back and forth. Trump is now saying there's no way an election with increased mail-in voting will be legitimate. Both Republican and Democratic officials overseeing that process say he's dead wrong. So once again, you can see the future if you would only look at the past or the present. The prediction is when we get to Election Day, if perhaps the president would perchance to lose, he will claim that the election is invalid because of mail-in voting. There doesn't have to be any logic to this, so there's not like a threshold out there. If 30% of the election is mail-in voting, if 50% of the election is mail-in voting, no, we've just thrown it on the floor now. It's now a possibility. The fraud of mail-in voting, a system with no fraud, voter fraud in general does not exist. There's been one major case in 1960. That's pretty much it. And no one likes to talk about that. Like we said earlier, Trump threatens to shutter social media companies after Twitter warning. Twitter puts a little warning fact label on your tweets. You threaten to shut them and the rest of social media down. That's how you overreact. That's how you fight. Twitter should have shut down his account. It's the only thing he respects is strength. If they had shut down his account, he would be flabbergasted. He doesn't have the Trump Twitter ready yet. They're obviously working on it now. They've had plenty of time, and it won't work. It'll fail whale. But that's what he's going to do. He's going to have his own Trump stream. Trying to sign up for the Trump stream. Get only the stream. But at least Twitter won't be hosting his negative shit. right? It's up to Twitter. Twitter right now, hosting a bunch of bad stuff, put a fact label on 2 of the mail-in voting tweets, now got slammed by like 6 or 8 more negative tweets. Lose. And it's surprising because Jack Dorsey's a killer, right? But he must have just listened to the lawyers. Sometimes you just got to listen to the lawyers. President Trump is still tweeting about the murder, the fake murder. And he says, insulting name, Joe Scarborough is rattled not only by his bad ratings, but by all of the things and facts that are coming out on the internet about opening a cold case. He knows what is happening. So again, Twitter's fact-checked warning did not really help or address the problem of the widower who is continuously dragged through the mud here by the president. In case you're wondering why this is such a problem, the president is supposed to be a high person here. He's supposed to be in charge, a person of power and great dignity, right? Dignity. And instead we have the president putting out these false murder charges every day. It's almost like the president has murdered someone himself and he feels really bad about it, and he can hear that telltale heart like tick, 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 and you can just hear the heart beating under the floor. I don't know why he keeps bringing this up, but again, it just keeps attacking. Twitter completely failed. We no longer need to engage in hypothetical what-ifs. White protesters armed with rifles aggressively confront the police to defend their right to a speedy haircut. Nothing happens. Unarmed black protesters congregating at the site of a police murder. Tear gas and riot police. It does look pretty awful in Michigan. Oh, we made it. Goldman Sachs is walking out 2014 Bitcoin FUD and common misunderstandings. There's no cash flow for Bitcoin. It's a Ponzi. It's tulips. It's a tech bubble. How much are these analysts getting paid? It'll be fun to look back on this deck in a year. Let's see how badly Goldman Sachs has missed the mark today. Let's learn about Bitcoin from Goldman Sachs. Cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, are not an asset class. They do not generate cash flow like bonds. They do not generate any earnings through exposure to global economic growth. They do not provide consistent diversification benefits given their unstable correlations. They do not dampen volatility given historical volatility of 76%. On March 12, 2020, the price of Bitcoin went in one day. I like the way they've taken that out of context there. They're not saying that, hey, the stock market also went down like 20, 30% in those last 2 or 3 days there. Pretty bad. It does not show evidence of hedging inflation. Not so sure about that last one either. We believe that a security whose appreciation is primarily dependent on whether someone else is willing to pay a higher price for it is not a suitable investment for our clients. Didn't they kind of just describe all stocks there? We also believe that while hedge funds may find trading cryptocurrencies appealing because of their high volatility, that allure does not constitute a viable investment rationale. This is impressive. So they're going out of cryptocurrencies right now. Good for them. I think it's going to be a terrible idea. They're showing the equity bubbles. They try to compare it to tulip prices right here again. They say that cryptocurrencies moved beyond bubble levels in financial markets and even beyond levels seen during the Dutch tulip mania of 1634 and 1637. We've compared Bitcoin and Ether, 2 of the largest cryptocurrencies by market capitalization, to the Gouda variety of tulip bulbs and to the equity bubbles in the NASDAQ, S&P, and Topix in the year prior to their respective peaks. So this is really, they're digging deep here. They're going for the tulips. We've gone all the way back to 1634 once again. Bitcoins are just tulips. NASDAQ rallied 109%. Tulip rallied 485%. Bitcoin rose 2,292%. Ether rallied 14,193%. Wow. So yeah, Goldman Sachs does not like Bitcoin. What's so funny though is wait till you see their slides from 2014. Thanks to Tur de Meester, he's been quoting out Goldman's previous slides about Bitcoin, and they seem to be much more bullish back in 2014. In 2014, they realized that there would be savings with Bitcoin on transaction fees and from Bitcoin pricing, average pricing, transaction fees, and that they could potentially save in e-commerce and in remittances by using Bitcoin. Goldman Sachs 2014. Also in 2014, they hinted at potential Bitcoin prices of up to $1 million. Currently right here, Bitcoin price around $10,000. That's around the market cap of Google. Once the price of Bitcoin is $100,000, that's roughly the GDP of Brazil. If the price of Bitcoin was to rise to $1 million a coin, that would be roughly the US GDP held in Bitcoin. 2014 Goldman Sachs. Just a little better, huh? Just a little better. So it's strange to see the way they've changed so quickly in just a few years. But keep your eye on Goldman Sachs. That's the news of today. Of course, Bitcoin prices up 4.37% right now. Likely because Goldman Sachs hates it. I don't know. We've got more Ethereum news. Ethereum's biggest game reveals its own blockchain they were forced to make because Ethereum is unstable and will crash for any given reason. Also, if they make their own blockchain, they can print their own money. Come on, you're not going to let just the Ethereum people do it. Why would you not print your own money? It's always a great idea to print your own money. That's what I would do. Let's see what else is going on. So yeah, they're making CryptoKitties is debuting an NBA game on its own blockchain. You could probably collect NBA cards and CryptoKitties on their own blockchain. Check it out. I found a little keyboard thing to order. It's from 2013. It's called the Alpha Smart Neo or Alpha Smart Neo 2. It has a not 7,000. That was wrong. It's 700-hour battery life on 3 AA batteries, and you can just type. It has a little LCD screen. I'm going to give it a try, let you guys know how it is. They do have a fancy new one that has an e-ink screen by a Kickstarter company, but it's like $500. This one was $40, so I can try that out. Once again, Twitter fact-check Trump's obvious lies about mail-in voting, and now Trump says, Twitter has shown that everything we've been saying about them and their other compatriots is correct. Big action to follow. So once again, they're going to make their own Twitter. But they're already making their own Twitter, their own YouTube, their own little worlds. They've been doing that for a while now. Thanks again to Tur de Meester for the Goldman Sachs 2014 slides, evening it out. Scott Dworkin writes, the fired cops who killed George Floyd need to be charged with murder. Period. I agree with that. Andrew Yang is correct, says Scaramucci. The 4-day work week increases efficiency, job creation, and mental health. So 4-day work week. Let's do it. Checking out once again the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 4.33% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,179, a high of 9,225, and a low of 8,763. Volume is low with 5,455 Bitcoins trading hands. 79% of the market is margin long, and Bitcoin dominance is at 66%. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Until next time,